Hi everyone, welcome to this workshop on deep listening and resolving conflict. My name is Matthew. I'm a family and human services student at Brigham Young University. I've got a background in policing and currently work as a dog attack investigator for the local council. So conflict and angry people are something that I have been dealing with for a very long time, and I hope to be able to convey some of my findings and expertise and some of the things that work for me over the last 15 years of my career. So the purpose of this is to help parents to recognize how technology shapes family dynamics and children's development, and to build practical strategies to restore meaningful connection, communication, and trust at home. So overwhelmingly, through this survey that I conducted a few weeks ago, conflict, mental health, and technology were three of the most important things to you and to families. It's no stranger that you're noticing what I'm noticing out in the world, how technology and mental health and the decline in the quality and type of communication is impacting everybody. Adults aren't immune, and children are more especially impacted by some of these things. So today I'm going to go through deep listening, conflict reduction, and adapting and nurturing children's autonomy to help them to make right choices. This is a quote from last time. Our children feel most safe and loved when they see us fully present, not just physically but emotionally. This is the concept of digital fidelity, where we show the same attentiveness to family as we do to our phones or to our work. So the goal from this workshop is to see the technology and the relationship from the child's viewpoint. We talked last time about developing some new skills. This is the skill. We are going to be looking at this from their point of view, getting into their head, getting into their world, seeing through their eyes. I have a couple of quotes here. So, enhancing family communication may be a critical focus for interventions to prevent problematic smartphone behaviors in adolescents facing high academic demands. So from that study in 2025, communication is a critical focus for trying to overcome this. Sometimes we're focusing on the wrong things. So we're looking at communication as a solution to this. So out of this, conflict was strongly mentioned. In my years in investigation in policing and enforcement, de-escalation and conflict is dramatically reduced when the subject feels heard, seen, and understood. A lot of times, going to jobs as a police officer, we're going to a situation where there's been an assault, a disturbance, domestic violence, and when we are entering the situation, people are already heightened in their emotions. They're elevated, they're in conflict mode, they're in fight or flight mode. And it's been a real challenge and a passion for me to be able to help people to calm down. And overwhelmingly, I have found that two principles, one of them being listening, and the other one being seeing the person's true worth, has been integral for me to helping to connect with people, to reducing conflict, and to helping build rapport and connection, even sometimes when conflict is already there. Sometimes it is inevitable, but I would add, unless drugs or a severe mental health episode are at play, 80 to 90% of the time, deep listening, is a cure to this. I've seen deep listening mentioned. It's a concept that I thought of when I was developing this. I know it's been mentioned in other videos, but I haven't seen it gone into great deal. So I found that conflict and aggression are forms of communication. And it's like when someone is not heard or seen, they need to use increasingly severe forms of communication in order to get their message across. You're not hearing me, you're not seeing me, so I'm going to raise the volume of my voice. I'm going to increase the severity of the language that I use. I'm going to use a posturing body language that is more aggressive, more forward-facing, and sometimes even assaults, pushing, shoving, punching, kicking. All of those things are forms of communication where they want to get a message across, and they overwhelmingly need to be seen and to be heard. So when we improve how we talk, the phone naturally becomes less of a problem. So connection is the antidote to addiction, and connection is also the antidote to conflict. And deep listening comes when we drop what we're doing. So that's the first thing, is to drop what we're doing. And I have a video here to display this.
People always talk about being a better listener, and their advice is usually very weak. I mean, it doesn't ineffective because, okay, I've become a better listener. Yeah, I'll try that, but it's very hard to overcome certain patterns. So I try to tackle the question of why is it that you're not a good listener? And at the root of that is you're more interested in yourself than you are in the other person. You won't deny that. You will say, oh, no, that's not me. That's not me. I really like people. But the truth is you're more interested in your own thoughts and your own ideas, things that you're so certain about, your own experiences, than about that other person and what they're saying and what's going on inside them. If you can flip that around, if you can actually feel the motivation to get inside Lewis and get inside his head and his experience, then you will suddenly become a better listener. That's the key.
So that is something that I found in my policing career as well, is the police who struggled with aggression from members of the public went in with what we call a chip on their shoulder. They went in with a preconceived idea. They went in with an agenda that they needed to solve. They went in with an already planned out situation of how they wanted the situation to unfold. I've found that human beings overwhelmingly, children probably more so, are really receptive to those unspoken parts of communication, body language, tone, energy, all those things that we bring to the conversation. So sometimes they are going to shut down before we even open our mouths, and our words are secondary to that. So part of deep listening is addressing that. It goes deeper than just the words that we say, and it's how we come to the conversation that matters. So this study addressed the gap and revealed a bi-directional relationship between parental supportive responses to adolescent children's emotions and children's emotion sharing behaviors, and a unidirectional relationship from parents' non-supportive responses to adolescents, with the lack of responses for both genders. So what does this mean? It means that communication goes two ways: a hearer and a listener. If that is only going one way, it's going to lead to a lack of responses from adolescents particularly. But when it is bi-directional, it encourages openness and sharing and a deeper level of conversation than you would get if that wasn't there. You're only going to get so far with a dictatorship in this sort of relationship, and so making it bi-directional and learning that listening skill, that deep listening skill, which I'll cover more in a minute, will be a key to that. Here's another video.
Hello and welcome to today's coaching tip, which is all about the art of deep listening. In a world full of noise, the ability to truly listen has become rare and precious. But deep listening isn't just about hearing words, it's about tuning into the deeper currents of life. Now, most people listen while preparing their response or filtering through their own judgments. This isn't really listening at all. True listening happens when you set aside your own thoughts and open yourself fully to what's being communicated.
And that means sometimes, as a parent, the hard thing is setting aside our own agendas. Children, and especially adolescents, by adolescents I mean 11 through above, value individualized communication that supports the characteristics of their age group, such as their search for autonomy and freedom. They're trying to find their place in the world. They're trying to see where they fit. They're trying to measure their emotions, what is important to them. They have deep connections to their friends, deep drives to figure out where they want to be in the future. So they don't want to be fixed. They want to be consulted. So we treat them like allies, like consultants, like partners in their own lives. It means we're in it together. We need both parties to understand, unified, and to contribute to make progress in this. Putting in rules, boundaries, and making this a dictatorship where what I says is the only way is only going to make it so far. You'll find that this person that you care about will shut down. They'll become less responsive. They'll become less supportive. They'll become more rebellious, and you'll have a harder and harder time trying to influence them to do those things. And these technology troubles that we have, they affect us. They affect us as adults. I'm not immune. You're not immune. So helping them and being a supporting to them in things that we already struggle with is most important. Okay. So does this look creepy or comforting to you? Why does listening sometimes feel intense and uncomfortable? It's not something that can be done in a natural way. So one key for you to do that is, how can you listen deeply whilst doing regular everyday activities? You can't put this on your calendar. Your child or your adolescent is going to come to you at a time when it is not convenient, when it is not comfortable for you. And if you are not present in those moments, you'll miss the opportunity. And we're forming conditioning connections and here with the child. So what that means is, like the video just says, pencils down. When there's a bid, when there's a question, when there's an openness, when there's a, hey, can I ask you this? Or hey, can I show you this? Hey, can we talk about this? Drop what you are doing. Drop what you are doing and listen. And don't just listen to the words, listen to their emotions, listen to their feelings, listen to their body, listen to their eyes, listen to their posture, listen to their tone, the color of their words, all of these things in minute detail, and look for the message behind the message. So when they're asking you these things, what are they trying to convey? That's the main thing you want to talk about. And rather than thinking about what to say, thinking about how to respond, drop all of that. Drop all of that. Don't worry about what to say, how to answer, or anything like that. All you want to do is to reflect back to them what they said to you. So that might look like, hey, mommy or daddy, why is the sky blue? And that question is not about the sky. It is about a sense of curiosity and wonder with the world. Right? So we can answer that in a scientific way. They're not going to be interested, but it sounds like you can answer it. Sounds like this is something that's deeply curious. You're being deeply curious about something, and you have an interest in exploring some of these wonders about the world more deeply. How can I support you in that? A teenager might ask you a question about, hey, how did you address this certain topic about dating, or about the music we listen to, or about friends who betrayed us or anything like this? How did you deal with that when you were my age? And all you would do is, like the last video, TEDS, tell, explain, describe. Tell me more about, explain more about, can you describe this to me? And then shut up and listen. Deep listen. Put all your things down, put everything in your to-do list aside, and try to figure out the message behind the message. What happened to them and how you can respond to them and look at how they're feeling about that before we start to figure out solutions. So this deep listening provides the safe space, the safety net required for them to be able to become autonomous. So this is the key to look. So when you're deep listening, and like I said, you are looking for the words that they say, the way that they say those words, the tone, their volume, their body language, their posture, what was said, the way they feel about what they said, and just being present, just listening. And then at the end of what they said, you're trying to reflect back to them. So, and do that in your own words. Explain what they said to you in your own words. So if I understand this right, what you're trying to tell me is, or if I'm seeing this properly, what happened was this. And ask yourself these questions. What did you observe that was most important to your child or adolescent? Right? Not just what they said, but what was important to them through what they said. Was there anything that was repeated? Anything that was emphasized? What might you have missed if you weren't deep listening? And how will they open up in the future? What are they trying to communicate to you? What do they want you to know? Okay, there's what they say and the message behind what they say. What are they trying to convey to you? And I hope that as these conversations that go on that are spontaneous, that arise in different situations, can you shift your perspective to be able to see the world through their eyes? And what do you see when you shift that? And at the right time, the right circumstances, when the mood is there, the simple question, what do you want? And what would a good outcome look like for you? It's a difficult question. It's an uncomfortable question. But in all of those circumstances, what do you want? Do they just want to be heard? Do they have a problem to solve? Or do they want your support and encouragement? And they want you to have their back with that problem or situation. So the next part of this is to introduce autonomy. We are born with a freedom of choice. We know this. Little children have a deep sense of wanting to be independent. They see us as their models. They want to be like us. They see us being able to do these difficult things that are completely out of their skill range, and they want to do what we do. But how we get there is through the zone of proximal development, which is a concept where we hold their hands for a while until they can do the thing on their own. If we try to fight with their autonomy, if we try to fight with their agency, we will lose the connection, we will lose the relationship, or it will be severely diminished. So the developmental phase in children is marked by a significant growth and refinement that spans multiple areas, including physical, cognitive, social, emotional, academic, and language. In the world of speech language pathologists, they collaborate closely with other professionals who acknowledge adolescents as a distinct group from children or adults. Right, so what does that mean is that children are in a rapid stage of growth, particularly during adolescence. We just see the size, but we're talking about language, social, emotional, academic, physical. They're not children anymore. We can't treat them like children. They are trainee adults. So we need to train their autonomy rather than giving them rules. We need to help them to discover the rules so that they can govern themselves. I'm going to repeat that again. We can't give them the rules. We need to help them to discover the rules so that they'll want to obey them on their own. Next quote is, "It's primarily the adolescents who perceive high political sophistication of these parents who are open to children's political socialization attempts." Right, so what does that mean? This was a study that was done on children's adherence and influence with regards to political persuasion. Right, so the adolescents who were open to their parents' socialization attempts perceived their parents having a high level of sophistication. And like in the last video, this is why we need to upskill as listeners. We need to upskill as parents and supporters, because if they don't perceive that high level of sophistication, they won't open up to us. And so we're learning new skills. And I hope that I can help you to find some of these in yourself. The high consensus that the family is efficacious in managing its affairs was positively related to more open communication, self-disclosure, and satisfaction with family life. This was especially true for quality of family functioning for fathers and adolescents. Right, so children and adolescents are not silly. They spend multiple worlds. Many of them have part-time jobs. They're in schools with high level of education across multiple different realms. They have smart friends who are influenced by other smart families. So if we are not efficacious, if we are not highly skilled in this, what we want being open communication, self-disclosure, and satisfaction won't be there. So this is a workshop with not a lot of answers, but it's giving some direction, I hope. So the summary is that we need to deep listen. And when we deep listen, we're not looking for outcomes. We're looking to change the way we see so we can understand our children through their eyes and our adolescents. And then rather than making rules, you want them to see you as skilled, as present, as supportive, which is going to encourage the open communication, and shifting from giving them rules to helping them to discover the rules on their own, which might mean stepping back a little bit, showing less intervention in all the little parts of their lives and letting them make mistakes, asking them to make rules on their own, and then letting those failures happen. This is a little outside of the box for many, including myself. But the question to ask is, how can you nurture that autonomy, that independence, that agency, and that freedom that they're trying to develop to help them to make more informed choices? And by doing that, what do you notice in them? What do you notice about them opening up? What do you notice about your relationship? What do you notice about the way they speak to you? What do you notice about their environment? Their school marks. So an activity you can try, and this doesn't have to be for technology, this can be for another thing, anything. Dinner time, clothing, sleep time, chores, whatever that is. Set up a trial period where your child will draft the rules and the plan on their own. Get in the detail, get into the weeds, get them to commit to their own plans, and help them and support them to follow through with it. And that could be homework, it could be training, it could be a hobby that they're trying to pick up, it could be a skill that they're trying to develop, anything. Help them to become independent in that and support them. And this utilizes the research that finding family efficacy can lead to more open communication. So when we lecture, we do the work. When we use autonomy, the child does the work. So think about this, jot this down. What is one question you could ask each day to build on this? So instead of asking how your day was, how was school, maybe what is the most significant thing that happened today? What is the most important thing that happened today? What is the thing that you remember the most about today? Instead of nagging about devices, ask them, when do you think is a good time to jump off? How long do you think that you should be spending on this? And instead of interrogating, listen. You told me that X, Y, or Z was important to you. What can we do together to build on that instead of technology? And think about what we've learned. What we're finding is that technology is a buffer. It is a low-fi solution to a more complex human need. Oftentimes they're doing it because they want to learn, they want to be entertained, they have the need for social connection, they need for status and hierarchy. And if they're using the phone to do that instead of something that's more real, it's going to lead to the unhealthy habits, the mental health issues, the decline in joy and satisfaction, and all those things that we're seeing. So listen to what is important to your child. If they're getting a social connection through technology, then that's going to form the basis for the family council, where what is things you can do to help to foster social connection outside of technology. If it's status or importance, is what else can you do to foster and encourage and build on that. And last thing before we finish, let's do a couple of self-checks. We as parents and loved ones, are we being leaders? Are we becoming the type of people that we want our children to model? They are copying us. They copy us from the moment that their eyes can open. They're looking to us to measure against us for who they are and what they are. So we need to lead the way on this. Not through nagging, not through lecturing, but just simply becoming. And the digital fidelity check. Unlock your phones, check your screen time, check your stats, compare that number to the minutes that you're spending eye contact with your child. Compare that to your own needs. Look in the mirror through what we've studied today, and you looking for lo-fi solutions to a more complex human need through a phone. Our final workshop's going to build on the first two. We're going to talk about family councils and how each member to contribute their own unique perspective, their situation, and to contribute to create a family technology plan that respects each other's agency, autonomy, and needs and circumstances in a way that's beneficial for all, in a way that we can support each other and get through this as families is the most important and fundamental unit of society. Any questions, hit me up in the comments. Thank you for anybody that views. I hope this helps. And if there's anything that you need, please reach out.